On the day of the wedding, Ethan's former love returned. She brought her family of 3 to our wedding and revealed the secret she had asked me to keep all those years ago. She said she had come this time to avoid leaving any regrets from her youth. At the time, it was just before the college entrance exams, and she was going abroad for leg treatment, asking me not to tell Ethan so as not to disrupt his exams. After learning the truth, Ethan believed I had intentionally tried to break them apart. Before entering the chapel, he choked me and shouted, "So you've been scheming all this time just for today? I'll make sure you don't get what you want." In the struggle, I was pushed down the stairs. Shards of broken glass pierced my carotid artery, and I bled to death. When I woke up again, I was back to the day when my white moonlight asked me to keep her secret. In a daze, I was shaken awake by Sophia. Mom said she bought the plane tickets. We're leaving tomorrow to go abroad for treatment. I looked up at the clock on the wall. It was 1:30 a.m. Looking down at the narrow bed in front of me, I realized that ever since Sophia came to my house, my room had been given to her. My bed was made from a folding chair laid flat. My mom said it was just for a few days, but I had been sleeping on that chair from my sophomore year of high school until the end of my junior year. I suddenly snapped back to reality. Fate was truly mysterious. The intense pain in my neck and the panic and suffocation from losing so much blood still lingered in my senses, and my breathing became rapid. Sophia seemed dissatisfied that I hadn't responded to her immediately. She reached out and slapped my shoulder hard, saying, "I'm talking to you. Did you hear me?" I snapped back to reality and met her expectant gaze. She raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. The crisp sound of the slap echoed loudly in the quiet room. Tomorrow was the first day of the college entrance exam, and she was acting so self-centered, only thinking about herself. In my previous life, I was foolish enough to endure it, patiently enduring her negative emotions for over an hour, only to end up dizzy and disoriented after finishing the first exam. It was she who asked me to keep her secret about her plans to study abroad. She said it wasn't worth delaying Ethan's college entrance exam, and that he would find out eventually anyway. Since she had said that, of course I wouldn't tell anyone. We all thought the matter was settled, and she stayed abroad, going through love, marriage, and having children. Ethan and I started dating in the 3rd year after she left the country, and it was Ethan who pursued me. Even before the wedding, she sent me a text message to congratulate me. Yet she showed up at my wedding, reminiscing about the past with the man who was about to become my husband. Judging me, the person who had kept her secret for just one day. Was the flight cancelled? Or did all communication systems fail them? Did they end up not being together, and is it all my fault? Did I make Ethan pursue me? Did I make them stop contacting each other after they went abroad? Did I cut off all their contact information? Did I make Sophia seamlessly transition into dating, marriage, and having a child? After I slapped Sophia, she froze for a moment before erupting in anger. "Josie, you're crazy. How dare you hit me?" I stood up and, before she could react, slapped her again. "If I'm going to hit you, why wait for a special day?" Her legs were badly injured, and she could only drag herself along, unable to put any strength into her movements. Soon, I had her pinned to the ground and beating her. I had truly had enough. Sophia is my uncle's daughter. Her parents divorced when she was very young. My mother said she was pitiful and told me to be more lenient with her. She stayed at my house from 2nd grade until she graduated from elementary school. Those 4 years were a nightmare for me. It felt like I was her personal servant, a 24/7 nanny, even though we were only half a year apart in age. When Sophia didn't hand in her homework, it was my fault. I was selfish, only caring about myself and not her. When Sophia fought with her classmates and was called to the principal's office, it was my fault for not stopping her. When Sophia stole money, it was my fault for being jealous of her and telling my parents. There were countless examples like these. Until she graduated from elementary school and was taken away by her mother, I thought the nightmare was over. But then, during high school, she came back. And the nightmare returned. Moreover, by that time, my uncle had already passed away, so my mother became even more obsessed. She treated G. Sophia like a precious pearl. She felt that G. Sophia was pitiful, that no one was looking after her, and that she needed to compensate her, to protect this last thread of family connection for her brother. And she placed this responsibility on me as well. Anything related to G. Sophia was now my responsibility, even more so than her guardians. For example, she was less than 158 centimeters tall but insisted on becoming a motorcycle girl. She couldn't even touch the ground when she rode it, and sure enough, she broke her leg. The doctor said she might be limping for the rest of her life. My mother blamed me, saying I hadn't watched her properly. She beat me with a clothes hanger, breaking 3 of them. My arm still hurts when I try to lift it. Damn it, the more I thought about it, the angrier I got, so I kept slapping her. After a few slaps, her face swelled up. At that moment, my parents finally arrived. G. Sophia's biological mother couldn't stand living in our rundown house and was staying at a nearby hotel. G. Sophia must have been reluctant to part with me, her 24/7 personal caregiver. Even on the last night, she came to cause trouble again. My mother grabbed me and pushed me hard. I lost my balance and hit my head on a nearby cabinet. I touched it and my hand was covered in blood. She seemed taken aback by the severity of it and stammered, "Josie, what are you doing causing a scene in the middle of the night?" She was exactly the same as I remembered her. No matter what, she would never stand by my side. All the injustices from past lives flooded back. I lost my mind on the spot. I wiped the blood from my forehead with both hands, smearing it all over my face, and pulled at my hair wildly, screaming, "Yes. I'm crazy. I'm a madwoman. You drove me crazy. Did you ask me to give birth to you? I have the college entrance exam tomorrow, and she wakes me up in the middle of the night just to hear her love story? I can't even refuse, right? What, just because your brother's daughter is more important? Am I supposed to be her slave, her maid? It's not that I'm inferior, it's because I'm the kind of person you are that makes me inferior." I was ranting and raving, leaving my mother speechless. She held her precious niece in her arms. She dared not look at me and said, "Mom didn't mean it that way. Ning is still sick. Why are you arguing with her? Oh my goodness. How dare I? As the second-class citizen of this family, how dare I argue with Mom's precious niece? Maybe I'm not your biological child, but even if I'm not, you should have some conscience. I have the college entrance exam tomorrow. Can you show some mercy? Please, you're all family." "What family? Aren't you part of our family? You sure know how to talk." My mom was about to hit me. But I suddenly stepped back, bowed quickly, and kept repeating, "Please show some mercy. I beg you." This is exactly what my mom used to do to me. Whenever I complained that she treated G. Sophia better than me, she would either beat her chest and cry, calling me an ungrateful child, or kneel down and say, "It's all my fault. I gave birth to you with the body of a lady but the fate of a maid. I can't give you a good life. Go find another family." Where could a child under 10 go? I could only stand there, letting her finish her performance and absorb all her negative emotions. My father finally spoke up, pulling me up by the arm and saying, "Josie, it's late at night. How much longer are you going to cause trouble?" I looked up at him and suddenly laughed. "Dad, that's great. So you can actually speak." I thought my father had the ability to disappear in this house. He was so embarrassed by my sarcasm that he didn't know what to say. He wanted to get angry, but then he looked at the clock, which was almost 2 a.m., and finally just took my mom and the others out, leaving behind a sentence, "The college entrance exam is tomorrow. Go to bed early." I kept a cold face and didn't say a word. After they left, I slammed the door shut. There was no way I could sleep. Even if I slept until dawn, I wouldn't be able to take the exam tomorrow. Before I came here, it had been 7 years since the college entrance exam ended. This is so frustrating. Who would want to come back to this time? Couldn't I have taken the exam first and then come back? I'm really fed up. But if I don't do well, those two won't have it easy either. In my previous life, didn't I say I was holding you two back? In this life, I'll be the good guy until the end and make things easy for you. As for whether Ethan can see it, that's up to fate. To be honest, my neck is killing me right now. If I weren't worried about drawing attention, I'd call him right now. I'd tell him to hurry up because his white moonlight is leaving the country, or else I'll mutate into a three-body person and use physical and mental magic to stop their epic love story. But in the dead of night, I just posted a meaningless status on QQ Space. This old phone is about to fall apart. It was broken by Sophia, and my mom had no choice but to give it to me. I saved up my living expenses to fix it. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by a drama queen, listening to her epic love story. The drama queen thinks she's leaving the country tomorrow, and the plane might get cancelled, so she won't be able to see the drama king. After posting that, I turned off my phone and went to sleep. Maybe I never vented like this in my previous life. After letting it all out, I slept until dawn. I felt so much lighter. When I turned on my phone, Ethan's calls had been non-stop since last night. Damn it! Great! I hope he does worse than me today. The old Josie is dead. The one who came back is Luna Darkmoon. Seeing him so furious, my mood went up by 100. Josie, what's going on? What happened to Sophia? Josie, basic manners, you should have some. What did you mean by that post? Are you so dark and twisted that you intentionally want to ruin someone's college entrance exam? One after another, I couldn't even look at them anymore. I never noticed before that he seemed illiterate. Or maybe I'm just the bug in their once-in-a-lifetime love story, and they have to drag me into it and ask me what I mean? Is it that hard to understand? Am I your father? Do I have to answer every question you ask? The response was a call coming in quickly. Josie. My name can be spoken with such venom. Why are you calling me Dad? It's the middle of the night, and you're calling so many times. Didn't your dad teach you manners? So you came looking for your dad, me? Josie, my patience has its limits. Click, I hung up the phone. You're giving me face, and you're talking about limits to your patience? Is Ethan always this crazy? Apart from the fact that he killed me in his previous life, I feel like being with him is like having a criminal record. The phone kept ringing insistently. After thinking for a moment, I answered it. Josie, where is Sophia? Who are you talking to? Do I owe you anything? Why should I care where she is? And why should I tell you? Josie, even though I don't know what we did to offend you, please tell me. This is really important to me. Beg me? Is that how you beg someone? Why don't you call me Dad and let me hear it? I can't stand being bothered by you every day like your father, yet you won't even call me Dad. Josie, you're crazy, aren't you? What? You don't want to? Then it seems your feelings aren't that deep after all. You won't even call me Dad. It's destined for us to part ways then. Sigh, you must have a histrionic personality disorder, right? You don't even love me that much. Why are you pretending to be so deep? The call was hung up in a fit of anger. Arguing in the morning is refreshing. After washing up, I got ready to go downstairs for some noodles before heading to the exam hall. Thanks to last night's commotion with G. Sophia, my dear parents might feel a little guilty, so they actually left me some money for breakfast. I still remember in my previous life, I woke up dizzy and cooked an egg for breakfast. Because my parents had already left early in the morning to send G. Sophia off. The morning exam was Chinese, and although I had forgotten most of my high school knowledge. But since it's my mother tongue, I could manage. I quickly finished the questions and was the first to rush out of the exam hall. No other reason. Because for the past few years, the media had been interviewing the first student to come out of the exam hall every year. At the corner of the staircase, I deliberately tore open the wound on my forehead to make the blood flow more. Then I covered my forehead with one hand and ran toward the exit. Throughout the interview, I kept smiling. I said I felt life was full of hope. Once I went to university, I wouldn't have to be beaten up because of my cousin anymore. The interview quickly went viral online. If I had just played the victim, maybe not so many people would have paid attention, but I created a contrast to create hope. A mother whose daughter was disturbed on the eve of the college entrance exam, harming her own child for someone else's child. Going to college means I won't get beaten anymore. My mother quickly became famous because of me. When I returned to the neighborhood, many people pointed and gossiped about her. When I went back for lunch, I happened to encounter her in a rage. "Josie, what did you mean by what you told the reporter? What do you mean? What's wrong? Mom? Your precious child is going abroad, and you still want to hit me? Josie, have you lost your mind these past few days?" She raised her hand, hesitating to strike. "Because my father intervened, forget it. The child is taking the college entrance exam, don't argue with her." Oh my God! So my parents knew I was taking the college entrance exam. I thought it was just a small matter. Besides, what could be more important than your precious Ningning? Josie! My mother's slap landed instantly. "Hey! You didn't hit me. I'm not stupid anymore. Why should I stand there and let her hit me?" I challenged her with a mocking smile. It seems like Mom doesn't love Sophie that much after all. She didn't even go abroad to take care of Sophie. Mom's love has faded. You need to try harder. Otherwise, Sophie's parents will divorce, and she'll be so pitiful. Josie, how long are you going to keep this up? Oh, we're just little cabbages no one cares about. We can't even speak the truth. Unlike Precious Ning, whose parents divorced but still have cheap second-hand parents begging to spoil her. Why can't you just endure it? Once little Sophie is born, you'll definitely not want to have children. Just abort me. That's better for me and you all. I turned around, sat on the chair, propped my head up, and looked at them. Josie, haven't you caused enough trouble yet? Where's your manners? My father was so angry he slammed his fist on the table, while my mother tried to calm him down. What's the matter? Sophie's gone, so now you don't like me anymore? Then I'll just leave. I stood up and opened the door to leave. My mother rushed out after me. She grabbed my arm with all her strength and shouted hoarsely, Josie, I gave birth to you, and you still think I owe you? Is this how you treat me? I struggled to break free. Her grip grew tighter, and my arm began to ache. My head, which had been injured before, grew dizzy. In a daze, I lost my balance and was pushed down the stairs. I rolled down the stairs. Scenes from my past and present flashed through my mind in an instant. I instinctively reached for my neck. Oh, I've been reborn. This isn't the wedding venue. The old-fashioned stairs didn't have glass. Then came a violent impact, but this time it was my knees hitting the steps. A sharp pain shot through my bones and skin, followed by numbness from the pain. My white pants were covered in blood, and I curled up like a shrimp, the physical pain causing me to scream involuntarily. My father rushed down the stairs in a panic. Luna, are you okay? How are you? I stared at them coldly and suddenly laughed out loud. I'm not dead yet. Mom and Dad, you have to keep going. Our commotion attracted the neighbors in the hallway. I was taken to the hospital by kind neighbors. The scene was chaotic, with people blaming my parents, my father's explanations, and the loud slam of the door after my mother was scolded. I felt nothing, my mind completely blank. The blood on my leg kept flowing, and my head was spinning. The blood on my leg was flowing more and more, and my head was spinning. It wasn't until I arrived at the hospital and the doctor treated my wound that the pain from touching it again brought me back to my senses. It wasn't all bad. At least I didn't have to take that exam, and the rest could be skipped too. I didn't have to find excuses for why I had done so poorly on the college entrance exam. There's something even better, I'm not the only one who missed the exam. Ethan didn't even go to his Chinese exam. He bought a big bouquet of sunflowers mixed with baby's breath to say goodbye to Sophia. Then he posted a dramatic status update. You ask me if it's worth it, but you've already become everything to me. The photo was of the flowers and Sophia's back at the airport, along with the meaning of baby's breath flowers found online, silent protection and love. Wah, 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 it's so touching. I was so moved that I ate an extra chicken leg at the hospital at lunchtime. Ah. I'm just afraid you two aren't in love enough. Because I was hospitalized due to my injury, I didn't take the rest of the college entrance exams. The reporter who had interviewed me before found out about this and interviewed me again. I cried into the camera and said, I don't know why this happened. I really prepared for so long. The interview was very long, and there were also testimonies from neighbors. My parents became famous throughout the entire city. My mother called me in a rage, asking what I wanted. Now, wherever my parents go, people point and whisper. My usually timid father even rare. I smiled and said, shouldn't I be asking my mother what she wants? Does she really want my life? As I said this, I couldn't help but recall the events of my previous life. She truly wanted my life. At that time, she was worried that Sophia didn't have enough money abroad, so most of the family's money went to support her. However, our family didn't seem that struggling to outsiders, and I couldn't even apply for scholarships. In the first semester of my freshman year, they paid my tuition, but later they made me work part-time to support myself. At that time, she cried and told me, children from poor families have to grow up fast. This is all we can afford. You have to understand us. Throughout my 4 years of university, I hardly had a single day off. I was constantly rushing back and forth between school and my part-time job. I wore the same high school jacket until I graduated from university. My roommates couldn't bear to watch me, so they gave me their old clothes. I was never well dressed. While my peers were full of youthful energy and radiant with sunshine, I felt like a rat in a sewer, afraid that others would see my poverty. Meanwhile, what was Sophia doing? At 19, she was traveling from New York to Philadelphia with the money my parents had given her. When I saw that post on WeChat, I flew into a rage and went to argue with my mother. She scolded me in an incredulous tone, Ningning's legs are already like that. Do you know she was in a bad mood and cut her arm with a knife in the middle of the night, ending up in the emergency room? Why do you insist on comparing yourself to her? Is death so terrifying? I've wanted to die for ages. If I wanted to die, I wouldn't cut myself with a knife, the wound would heal even if it was treated late. I'd be dead for ages before you'd even notice. Josie, I'm your mother. How could you scare me like that? What am I supposed to do now? She was sobbing uncontrollably on the phone. Her tears felt like a swamp drowning me, pulling me down bit by bit until we rotted together. Children naturally love their parents. Back then, I was always tamed by her method of slapping me and then giving me a sweet treat. Like that day when I caused a scene, she unexpectedly sent me a red envelope with $200. But along with the red envelope was a long voice message. My knees have been hurting lately, and my lungs feel a bit uncomfortable. I'm too scared to go see a doctor. She had used all her manipulative tactics on me, reserving all her kindness and consideration for her original family. Of course, I didn't accept that red envelope. Even during my student days, I would use the money from scholarships and part-time jobs to support them. When did I finally wake up? Sophia is like a bottomless pit, she seems to need other sacrifices to feel her own worth. And she's grown accustomed to it. In the US, she learned to smoke marijuana and drink heavily. The year I graduated, she was diagnosed with kidney failure and needed a transplant. My mother didn't hesitate to ask me to be a donor. Her words were so casual, Luna, you can live with one kidney. We're blood relatives. Mom is begging you. In that moment, I finally woke up. She doesn't love herself, and she doesn't love me either. I will never let her use my life like a possession. That was the first time I refused her. She hurled every cruel insult at me. She cursed me, asking why it wasn't someone like me who got sick. In her repeated attacks, I finally came to my senses. I didn't ask her to give birth to me. She owes me nothing, and I owe no one anything. If no one is kind to me, I will be kind to myself. I will live for myself. I must live for myself. Perhaps because of my rebirth, my father began to change slightly compared to his previous life. But I don't need him. He brought my mother to the hospital several times, but I chased them away every time. As soon as he arrived, I would go into a frenzy, shouting and screaming. Have you not caused me enough suffering? My college entrance exams are ruined. Are you satisfied now? They didn't want me to bring this up, but I insisted. Josie, I'm your mother, are you blaming me? Always the same line, over and over again. In my previous life, I didn't donate my kidney. They sold the house just to give more money to G. Sophia. Then they came to me penniless and said, Josie, it's okay. You live your good life. We weren't meant to have that kind of life. I couldn't take it anymore and laughed bitterly. How dare I blame my mother? My mother is the best mother in the world, letting me experience the unique life of a slave. My mother is the kindest mother in the world. Mother, my life isn't enough for you to torment. While you're still young, have more children. Otherwise, Sophie will be too pitiful without a nanny or a slave. Josie! She raised her hand to hit me. I covered my mouth and continued laughing. What's wrong, Mom? Did I hit the nail on the head? Oh! So you deliberately ruined my college entrance exam because you're afraid I'll spend money on education or won't be easy to control in the future and won't be a slave anymore, right? Oh my God, Mom really has such a kind heart. I'm truly moved by Mom's love for Sophie every single moment. Heaven, open your eyes. Why won't you let Mom and Sophie be biological mother and daughter? The slap didn't land. My father stopped her with all his strength. Amazing! Amazing! My father is even stopping her now. The world has changed. I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. Finally catching my breath, I continued, Mom, hit me. I know I mentioned Sophie again, touching Mom's sore spot. Josie, what did I do to you? Did I give birth to you and still owe you something? How could Mom owe me? It's my fault. I shouldn't have let myself be strangled to death in Mom's womb. I was so ignorant to dare to be born from Mom's womb and cause Sophie to suffer. But Mom, I've even sacrificed my college entrance exam for the noble Sophie and served her as a slave and maid for so many years. Isn't that enough? Sophie is so noble, how can a slave like me possibly serve her? Let me give Mom an idea. Having children is a business, so we should expand and grow it. Have more children, and then we'll have more sources of income to collect debts from, and Sophie will be happy again. Gee, enough is enough. This outcome wasn't what your mother or I wanted. What do you gain by constantly attacking your mother like this? Dad, you're speaking too late. You should have scolded me earlier. As a son-in-law, you should have the mindset of a son-in-law. Your children are slaves of the right family. The money you earn and your very existence belong to the right family. Wake up now and help the right family produce more slaves and maids. Remember to control yourself and don't have any sons. Sons are harder to control than daughters. In any case, you really need to feel a sense of crisis. If you keep this up, they'll kick you out of the house. What will you do then? I'm really worried. Forget it. We're not going to talk to you anymore. You've gone completely mad. Ha ha. Just like that, you leave. Sigh. It seems like Dad and Mom aren't that scary after all. What was I so afraid of in my previous life? Why did I hesitate to take that first step? It takes 100 days to heal a broken bone. After staying in the hospital for a week, I limped out of the hospital. I returned to our rural hometown, where there was 12,000 yuan hidden in the earthen bricks. It was left to me by my grandmother before she died. She was very foresight and worried that I wouldn't have an easy life after she was gone. The old lady really loved me. She would take a long bus ride to visit me at home, and even gave Sophia some pocket money to win her over, fearing she might bully me. I pried open the earthen bricks under the bed and pulled out the money wrapped in layer after layer of cloth. Tears welled up in my eyes. Ah! Why couldn't I have been reborn sooner? She never got to enjoy the blessings I could have given her. In my previous life, I also survived on this money. I used it to buy goods and sell them at a street stall during university, but it was barely enough to get by. I wanted to open an online store, but I was afraid of losing all my capital and not being able to survive. This time around, it's not so complicated. After all, it's a rebirth, so there's still some information advantage. I have some knowledge of stocks, and I remember most of the stocks that saw sharp increases over the years. I took my ID to the bank and opened a bank account, then bought a used smartphone online that works well. Before I started my retake year, that money had grown to over 270,000 yuan. I finally felt confident. Money really does give you courage. At this point, my mom, trying to make me give in, hadn't given me a single penny for 2 whole months. I was happy to be free and moved back to my grandmother's old house to live. My father returned from his business trip and asked me how I had been living. What, curious to know how I haven't died yet, dear father? Can you not be so sharp? Your father doesn't know. Oh my! Your father will never know. If I really starved to death, the grass on my grave would be 3 meters tall, and your father might even cry at the wrong grave. Never mind, I don't want to argue with you about this. What are you planning to do next? You need money to repeat the year, right? Don't keep fighting with your mother. He reached out to give me money, but I jumped back quickly. No way. I didn't take it. You're worse than loan sharks. If you make me pay it back with my life, I won't dare to take it. Besides, this is Sophie's money. I wouldn't even dare to look at it. Josie, how long are you going to keep this up? Without money, how have you been living all this time? You're just now asking me how I've been living? Don't you know? The whole city knows I'm worse off than an orphan. Orphans get a monthly government subsidy of 1,200 yuan. Everyone pities me. I go out every day with a bowl, and people take pity on me and give me food. The more I spoke, the uglier his expression became, and by the end, there was even a hint of guilt in his eyes. Unfortunately, I don't need it. Ha ha. I changed the subject and continued in a sarcastic tone. You know what, Dad? This is a blessing in disguise. Hurry up and have more kids with Mom for the right family. Now everyone knows you're breeding slaves for them. Those slaves can go out and beg for pity, and you won't even have to give them leftovers. It's a surefire money-making scheme. Sophie will be so happy she'll die. My dad couldn't take it anymore and left 2,000 yuan before fleeing in disgrace. Ha ha. Who cares? I went to the post office the next day and sent it to his workplace. There was a sticky note with a heartfelt message. The best dad in the world. I don't know why Dad suddenly changed. I'm worried that my good dad has been possessed. How could he want to be a father? But Dad, you need to understand your status. Do you even have the right to use your own money? Do you even need to care about your child? You're not just any ordinary man, you're a tough-as-nails son-in-law. You gave birth to a slave, not a child to be loved. If you dare to give 2,000 yuan to a slave today, will you dare to stop serving the right family tomorrow? When your precious little Sophie blames you, will you blame me again? I'm telling you, someone really did bring me food. When I returned to the village, everyone knew about my situation, and many people invited me to eat at their homes. It was quite touching. I felt like a rotting corpse suddenly exposed to sunlight, warm and comforting. It was as if I had returned to the time before I went mad. However, I didn't need to eat others' food. Before she died, my grandmother stored 3,000 pounds of grain in the barn for me. She was really afraid I'd starve. Before she passed away, she clung tightly to my father's hand, begging him not to sell the grain. My father agreed. She looked at me one last time before closing her eyes. Not long after, my mother said the grain had been stored too long and would spoil, making it worthless. So she and my father sold over 1,000 pounds of it. It wasn't until my father started having nightmares, dreaming that Grandma was confronting him, that he dared not sell it anymore. They never returned to the old house afterward. Only I came back during winter and summer breaks to clean it. I didn't want to see the old house fall into disrepair. I always felt that cleaning it spotless made it feel like Grandma was still there. The grain in the granary had been there for over 3 years, and Grandma had been gone for over 3 years. I carried a basket to the village threshing field to grind the rice into grains, then steamed it at home. The leeks Grandma planted on the back mountain are still growing lushly. Combined with the eggs Auntie from the village gave me, I stir-fried leeks with eggs. I also placed a portion of the meal before Grandma's portrait, as if she were still dining with me. Grandma, why couldn't I have come back sooner? In the courtyard, Grandma planted 7 peach trees. They didn't bear much fruit before, but this year they're unusually bountiful. One tree has over 200 pounds of peaches. My daily routine is to go to the market in the morning to sell peaches, then eat and read in the old house in the afternoon. In the evening, I check the stock market. When my father found out about the peaches, he came to see me once and praised me, saying, "Luna, your father knows you've grown up. You know how to earn your own money, so you don't need your father's money. Ah, your mother also cares about you very much." Am I getting emotional again? My good father, do you know why the peaches suddenly bore so many this year? Grandma said it's because you've been too good to me, so the peach trees bore more as a reward for you. I smiled at him. The afternoon sky was eerily dim, with tree shadows dancing, and distant birds chirping. He looked nervously at the old house and left, saying he had something to do. Are you afraid of ghosts? I'm not afraid. I really want to meet one. Otherwise, it's too lonely in this world. Soon, the new school term began, and my situation was somewhat special. Although I didn't take the college entrance exam, my previous mock exams and final grades were decent. The school teachers approached me, offering to waive my tuition fees and sponsor my living expenses. I refused, telling them to give it to someone who needed it more. They asked how I would manage, so I made up a story about winning 10,000 yuan from a scratch-off lottery ticket. Mentioning stocks would have required too much explanation. The teacher was deeply moved by my gesture and instructed me to keep the lottery win a secret, as she was aware of what had happened during the college entrance exam. Ultimately, the tuition was waived, and the living expenses were sponsored for another student from a disadvantaged family. On the first day of school, I encountered Ethan in my new class. As they say, enemies meet and sparks fly. He walked straight up to me, tapped on my desk, and said, "Get out. I need to talk to you." Why? You tell me to get out, and I have to go? I rolled my eyes at him. Fine, if you want to talk here, go ahead. You're not afraid of losing face. You're a girl yourself, and you ruined another girl's reputation. Don't you feel guilty? Why should I feel guilty? Just because I told the truth? Those who take what isn't theirs have no conscience. Those who disturb students studying for the college entrance exam in the middle of the night have no conscience. Those who take advantage of others without shame have no conscience. Why should we normal people feel guilty? What a pity to be in the same class as you. The one speaking was my desk partner, Chloe, a cute little girl who probably wasn't good at arguing. After saying all that, her face turned bright red. Ethan used to be a good-looking, polite, and studious guy. No one had ever mocked him like that before. He was so flustered that he couldn't say a word and kicked over the desk next to him. He turned and walked away. As he reached the door, the owner of the desk came back from the bathroom and shouted, "Damn it! Who's so rude? You knocked over someone's desk and didn't even help them up." Ethan hesitated, unsure whether to help or not, and quickly left. Chloe and I went to help pick up the books. Chloe couldn't help but say, "Look who ran away first." That year of repeating the grade was actually pretty ordinary for me. I wasn't very flashy, probably because I was naturally cautious. I was afraid of showing off my wealth and attracting the wrong kind of people, and since I was alone, I didn't have much ability to protect myself. So my classmates even thought I was poor. During breaks, they would even give me snacks. Those who chose to repeat the year were mostly from ordinary families. Compared to others, the college entrance exam was an important, even the only, path forward. By the end of the first semester, my stock investments had already reached over $1 million. At this point, there was another crucial turning point. The World Cup had begun. In my previous life, I had overheard many boys in my class discussing it privately, and my father also bought some sports lottery tickets. I only remember a couple of specific scores, but I recall the outcomes clearly. This year's champions were Germany and Argentina, with the Netherlands and Brazil finishing third and fourth. The reason I remember it so clearly is that the days that followed were too busy, and I never paid attention to subsequent tournaments. I bet heavily on the matches that left a strong impression on me. Soon, the 1 million yuan grew to over 10 million yuan. Out of fear of drawing attention, I sometimes took a taxi to other districts to place bets. I didn't tell anyone about this money. To be honest, when the money finally arrived in my account, my hands were shaking. I had never seen that much money in my entire life, not even combined from my previous life and this one. With money, many things became much easier. For high school, I hired top tutors for extra lessons, and some classes I took with my classmates. I told everyone it was from a kind benefactor. Of course, Ethan wouldn't join us out of pride. He always seemed so busy. I heard from classmates that he was working part-time every day. He wanted to save up to visit Sofia during winter break. Even the smartest person will lose their talents if they don't cherish them. He went from being in the top 10 in his grade to falling out of the top 100. Winter break came quickly, and after subtracting the time for tutoring, we only had about 10 days off. Of course, Ethan didn't end up going to see Sofia. His family was already very opposed to him giving up the college entrance exam last time. They naturally wouldn't give him extra money to pursue love. The money he earned from his part-time job was mostly either sent to Sofia out of concern for her well-being or spent on gifts for her as surprises. He was already living beyond his means, so naturally he hadn't saved enough for a plane ticket. During the winter break, some of our former classmates returned. We even held a class reunion together. While singing at a KTV, a classmate I had never interacted with before suddenly handed me a card. I was stunned. The one who gave me the card was Ryan, the top student in our grade. In my memory, I had barely spoken to him a few times. Plus, he seemed to be good friends with Ethan, and they were always together. I smiled politely and said, "Thank you for your kindness, but I'm not that desperate." I didn't want to get involved. In my previous life, I had actually been quite concerned about Ethan and Sofia getting together at first. At first, I never thought I'd end up with him, but I did have feelings for him. When I was in high school, my living expenses were very limited. My mom had calculated exactly how much I should spend, and the money I had at school was only enough for vegetarian meals. Sometimes, during my period, I didn't bring sanitary pads from home, and after using my meal card, I couldn't even afford the vegetarian meals. At that time, I was truly hungry and craving something else. I would even sneak to a restaurant to wash dishes for a few extra bites of meat, paying 10 yuan an hour for a meal with oil and meat. The money my grandmother left me, I dared not touch at all. It's easy to go from frugality to luxury, but hard to go from luxury back to frugality. I was afraid that once I started spending, I wouldn't be able to stop, and I had to go to college. What if they couldn't afford my tuition? So I kept enduring it until one day, I suddenly noticed that my meal card had suddenly increased by several hundred yuan each month. At first, I thought it was some kind of poverty assistance program the school had set up to preserve our dignity, so I told myself I had to study even harder. That money really made my life much easier. Until one day, I returned to the classroom early and saw Ethan stealing my meal card from my desk. I was furious. I thought, I'm already so poor. Does he have no conscience? I originally planned to follow him secretly to catch him in the act. But I saw him top up the meal card with $500. I can't describe how I felt at that moment. I just stood there in shock. In my entire life, aside from my grandmother, I never thought anyone would treat me like that. Those feelings grew unconsciously. Later, when I found out about his relationship with G. Sophia, I was actually a bit sad. But because of that incident, my tolerance for him grew each time. I became the messenger between their relationship. He asked me to take care of G. Sophia, and I did everything he asked. When G. Sophia was sick, I cooked porridge for her, washed her clothes, and helped her with her homework. Even my mother praised me for doing a good job, which was the lowest point in my self-esteem. For a time, I even hoped he hadn't sent that money, so I wouldn't have to bear such moral pressure. I always felt I should repay him. Later, when he and G. Sophia parted ways, he was utterly desolate. He would drink himself into a stupor every day, and it was me who, after working part-time, would drive him home late at night and do everything I could to encourage and help him. After being reborn, I wanted to settle this karmic debt, so I gave him 10,000 yuan. He was a bit stunned at first, so I directly mentioned the meal card. He remained silent. But he didn't take the money. Later, after he got back together with G. Sophia, their financial situation grew increasingly dire. I waited for the right moment and handed him the money. He clenched his fist and finally said, "This is a loan. I'll pay you back later." There's no later. This person will have no further connection to me.